So, I played Spyro 2. I never played Spyro 2 before. I'd actually only played the first one. It was one of my favorite games for the PS1 back in the day. Of course, I have the Reignited trilogy here now, but yeah, Spyro 2, it's really weird because it starts off really, really bad. The first world is just utter shit. It's the worst kind of tutorial level where they don't really get into the action until the last level, the Aqua's Tower or whatever, and then um, and then they actually get into it, and then it's great. They have the world design wrapped up into the mini games and the gameplay that was the problem with the previous tutorial sections where the gameplay and the mini games were the world and the mini games were just kind of separated into little areas. Like they'd be, oh, go here and do a mini game, and there's not that much exploring kind of thing. But Spyro 1 is all about exploring. It's all about the feel of exploring. You're a dragon, you can fly, you can flame guys and ram into guys and stuff, and you are the one who gets to explore, and that's the whole fun of the game, is you exploring to find all these gems, to free all the dragons. That was the beauty of that game. Now this game, it's all sorts of different. The orbs are your new dragons, basically, and you don't even, you do mini games and stuff to get them, and little tasks around the world and stuff, but it's like, sometimes after World 1 they actually start using it to their advantage. These levels get to be really good after World 1. World 1 is just not that great. Aqua's Tower was standing, and the flying level or whatever, but those were all good. So and then it gets really good in World 2. World 2 is great. The autumn world or whatever. They're all based off of seasons or something. It doesn't make any sense. There was 5 or 6 worlds in the original. I think it was 6 worlds, if you count Nasty Nork's world or whatever. And they were all unique and different. There was the Artisan's world, which is like the dragon homeland. It was like the perfect World 1, whereas this has a really shitty World 1. But then there's the second world, is this whole different place. It's like this desert land with all these other guys, and they look like Revolutionary War soldiers or something. There's all sorts of unique areas that actually fit a desert theme. The levels in this game are just scatterbrained. There's ice levels in the summer world, and in the not in the summer world. I think in the autumn world there's ice levels, and there's there might even be one in the summer world. I don't remember. Anyway, so. And then in the winter world, the one you think would be the most ice levels, there's canyon levels and like an Africa level and stuff, and it's all these hot themed levels, or it's you could have just put this in the Summerland, but they didn't want to do that because the levels get a lot harder. But they're cooler then. They're a lot better then. World 2 and 3 are perfect. They're the great kind of worlds. They're not all the most amazing thing ever, but they really get down the idea of, hey, here's the concept of the game. We're going to add mini games and stuff. We're going to add these orbs. They really get to the core of that in the second and third world, which is great. The only complaint about that is, in the third world, if you did all this stuff from the first and the second world, you don't even have to do the third world. You could just go right for Ripto. I don't even know if I had to even do all this stuff in the first and second world to do that. I went right for Ripto before I even went to any levels in the level 3. Or whatever. Of course, I went back and did them because I wanted to actually play the game. I was enjoying myself enough to want to go back and do them. But yeah, you didn't even have to. You could just go right for Ripto, which is interesting. It's an interesting choice. Maybe that was because I had enough orbs or something. I don't know. But and I did 100% the game, so there's that. But yeah, like I said, the first world is a really bad first impression to the game, and then the second and third world get really good. So it's such a great thing after that, and all the levels are really good. I like how they started integrating the design of the world, and you would help people along, like in that level where you're helping the guy know he'll ram the cages that are in your way or whatever, so the gates that is in your way, so you can get to the forward path, and then you go and help his friend with something, he'll give you an orb and that kind of thing. Those kind of things were cool. The level it was the last level, it was Metropolis or whatever, where there's little guys flying, and then you get your power up where you do the flying and the flame breath at the same time, and it's oh man, this is cool because it's integrated into the level design. You're flying around and flaming these guys and shit. It's really cool and it's really well done. The level where the one time you get the freeze breath or whatever, that was pretty cool, where you freeze the guys and stuff. and it's interesting because in this game you still have all the gems. They're used for buying stuff now, buying upgrades and whatnot, which is fine. That's good. Whatever. That's all good. I mean, because you didn't use them for anything in the last game. They were just collectibles, which is fine. I like them being just collectibles as well. But my impression of it in the first world was like, oh, they just turned this into a really bad Banjo-Kazooie game where you're like doing mini games and that kind of thing, to forward your progression to get the jiggies, in this case orbs or whatever. But they actually played upon that concept later and did some unique stuff with that concept, and actually integrated it into the levels. There's a level where there's like the flying ship in the middle, and it's got the trolley and stuff, and that's pretty cool. And there's just a lot of levels like that. There's a lot of really unique levels in this game that just don't feel as well themed to each world as the first one did. So, stop. Okay, so there's a desert land, and there's like this magic crafter world where it's like these mountainous areas, and the guys are like raising and lowering these things, and it's crazy. There was none of that in Spyro 2. The shock floors in the marsh level in Spyro 1, and then there was the fantasy world, which was beast makers, or no, that was the I don't remember what it's called. It was that one, and there was like all castles and like crazy stuff like that. There's a bunch of cool shit. It's just every level was themed to those designs of those hub worlds before, and then this one just kind of has a scatterbrain mentality about it, which is fine. It's a minor complaint overall because the game is really good. It's not as good as the first one. Everyone thinks it is as good as the first one. Everyone keeps saying it's as good as the first one. They think it's way better than the first one. In my opinion, I don't know. I did just with an unbiased eye, in this modern day, it's really good, but it's not as good as the first one to me because I like the design philosophy of the first one better. Just go explore, do levels. That's the kind of platformer I'm interested in. I'm not really interested in doing these tasks unless it is something like Banjo-Kazooie, and when they do it well. And they do it well sometimes in this game, but there's other times where they don't do it that well, so SeaWorld 1 for that instance. And they're all pretty much done very well. It's just that the first game had a better mentality and a philosophy and a design about it than this one did. But similar with the music and the like I said, theming and whatnot, the music was fine. It was good. It was more background music than the first game. I think the first game had some more rocking tunes, where you could jam out to them on the side and not have to have them in the context of the game, that kind of thing. The flying levels were all really well done in this one. I liked that ice one. That was like my favorite one because it was so open. You could go any direction and pretty much do any of those tasks at first. And the canyon one was pretty good. You could do some stuff there. I don't know. All the flying levels were really cool. The bosses were really well done in this game. The fight with Ripto was like really cool. Very well done. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good game. Oh, the characters. I liked Alora. She was really cool. Great character in the context of the story, and you always feel like you're helping people out. It's more like a Majora's Mask sort of situation where your forward progression in the game is helping these people out. Which could be a good inclusion for the mini games, and it is at times. It's just a very different game from the first one, which didn't have that stuff, which is fine, and you don't need all that. You can change things. Change is good sometimes. It just didn't seem in the first world that the change was very good, so I was kind of turned off at first. But then I really got into my stride in the second world, and I thought it was really well done. I liked the theming of the second world a little bit more because it was the castle area and that kind of thing. It's still not as well done as any of the areas of the first one, but still. So yeah, I mean, I like the first one better. It's still a really great game, Spyro 2. You can get to the end. You can do the whole Dragon Shores thing, and there's you get the permanent fire breath thing if you complete the 100% and everything. It's much shorter and easier than the first game, but that's not really a knock against the game. It's still really well done. It's a great game. But I just don't think it's as good as the first one. The first one I'd give like a 10. This game I would give like an 8.7 or something. Really, really close to a 9. High praise, but I just don't think it's to the level of a 9 yet. But it's really still very well done. So it's a plus in my book. It gets a thumbs up for me. Of course, everyone loves it anyway, but you know, there are some flaws, and I think that's worth discussing. You know, some of these flaws and the changes in the level design and all of that. And but overall, I think it was really good. I'm really looking forward to Spyro 3 when I get to that. So I'm gonna play Beyond the Beyond first. If you know anything about that, it's an RPG there. So hopefully this new format turned out all right. And until next time, this has been JZNES saying keep it classic, and I'll see you in the next one. JZ out. It's just a